And we are back with another round of Play Action Fantasy Football. This is Jonathan here. We're going over our Week 8 starter sit running backs. It's going to be a good week for these running backs, so we're going to go ahead and start with Thursday night. We're looking at the Buccaneers at the Bills, Rachaad White, Keyshawn Vaughn for the Bucs, and James Cook, Latavius Murray for the Bills. So I don't know. With this game, I know it's a Thursday, and you know what they say about Thursday night games. It's always a shit show. It's not a high-scoring kind of game, but I do think this actually has the potential to be a good high-scoring game. The Bucs have a decent defense. The Bills' defense is looking pretty shaky right now, so with the Bucs, I'm going to start Rachaad White. He hasn't been putting up much numbers at all. He's actually kind of been a disappointment this year, but I do think against the Bills, it's a great matchup for him. But this week is a good setup for him to get his points back, maybe put up the most points he has yet this season. So look for Rachaad White definitely this week. Keyshawn Vaughn, he's going to have to be a sit. He hasn't been getting many touches, hasn't been putting up much points, and the Bucs offense is a little slow. So I'm going to have to put Keyshawn Vaughn at a sit for sure. Bills, James Cook. It's hard. I'm going to have to put him as a cautionary start this week. He's been not playing as well as he usually does this season, or I guess compared to last season. He was a rookie last season. So cautionary start. He's going against the best team against running backs this year. They've allowed very few points to running backs, the Buccaneers defense, so I'm going to have to cautiously start James Cook. He might be able to catch some passes and get you some points, but I wouldn't see anything too much from him. And Latavius Murray, he's going to have to be a sit for me. He started off a little hot, but he's not going to be doing much in this Bills offense. Which brings me to Sunday. We got our 1 o'clock game, Jets at Giants. Breece Hall, Dalvin Cook. Breece Hall for the Jets is going to have to be a start against the Giants. Breece Hall's been putting up points. With Aaron Rodgers gone, Zach Wilson at QB, they kind of rely on Breece Hall a lot. So he's bound to get a lot of points. He's an easy start. Dalvin Cook is going to be an easy sit. He's been kind of the flip side of Breece Hall. He hasn't been putting up a lot of points. He started off the season decently, but kind of dropped off. So I'm going to have to sit him this week against the Giants. Now, as far as the Giants running backs go, we're still up in the air with Barkley. We're recording again on Tuesdays, so we'll see how it plays out the rest of the week. But Barkley is questionable. It looks like he will play. He thinks he's playing. He said Sunday night after his injury that he is going to be playing, or he feels like he'll play. I think it was a hyperextended arm or knee, something along those lines, so he should be good. And so I'm going to have to start Barkley. They go heavy in runs and passes with him. He catches both. He does both. Whereas Breida, he's more of just a fill-in spot. It's not like he's a designated pass catcher. So Breida's going to be a sit. Barkley's going to be a start for me this week, assuming Barkley's going to be playing, which he should be. Next up, we got the Jags at Steelers. Travis Etienne, Tank Bigsby. I'm going to start Travis Etienne, as always, against the Steelers defense, which has actually been decent this year. Versus their offense. I should say Etienne is going to have a good day, though. No matter what, Etienne puts up points against the Steelers team who's not that impressive. He's going to put up points. And Tank Bigsby, I would not count on him. He's going to have to be a sit. He hasn't really showed me enough for me to want to start him, especially against a decent Steelers defense. Now, as far as the Steelers go, we got Najee Harris, obviously, and Jaylen Warren. Najee Harris hasn't done shit all year, but I think this could be the game. This definitely could be the game where Najee Harris has a touchdown, 60 yards at least, definitely gets you solid points. So he's going to be a cautionary start just because he really hasn't proven himself that good of a running back this year, in all honesty. But against the Jags, who's been struggling against the run defense, especially against running backs, I shouldn't say run defense, but allowing running back fantasy points. So with that being said, Najee Harris is definitely a good cautionary start at your flex spot. Definitely put him in there. Maybe not as a RB1, RB2. You don't want to bank on him, but definitely could get you some points. And same thing with Jaylen Warren. I mean, Jaylen Warren, he has somewhat of a higher upside just because of PPR. He catches a lot of passes in the open, gets a lot of yards like that. So, again, he's going to be a cautionary start, and look for him at your flex spot too. Next up, we're going to be going to the Eagles at Commanders. DeAndre Swift, Kenneth Gainwell, That's a pretty simple one. DeAndre Swift is an easy start against the Commanders' defense. DeAndre Swift, I don't have to cover that too much. DeAndre Swift has been putting up points for the Eagles, and that's pretty obvious. Kenneth Gainwell, on the other hand, he actually was expected to do better this year, but it's not looking very good for him. So I'm gonna have to sit him this week. He's been looking like garbage, honestly. So he's gonna be a sit. Commanders, Brian Robinson, he's going to be a cautionary start for me this week. I usually like to start him. He's shown a lot of potential, but against the number one defense against running backs, it's hard to say I want him to be my RB1 or RB2. So maybe Brian Robinson at your flex. I know I actually took him out of my flex this week to throw in another player. However, he could be a solid flex, but be careful with that. I definitely would be cautious with Brian Robinson. Although he did have 13 points week 4 when he was in Philadelphia. That was when the Commanders' offense was rolling a little bit better than it is now. So I do not see him getting more than 13 points in this game. So just keep that in mind. And Antonio Gibson, you could forget about him. He's not getting the ball. He's going to be a sit this week. Next up, the Rams at the Cowboys. Oh boy. The Rams running backs, I don't even know where to start. Myles Gaskin, Zach Evans, Darrell Henderson. They have those three playing, splitting time, all because Kyron Williams and Ronnie Rivers is out. They're 2 starting running backs. So they're in a mess there at running backs for the Rams. So I'm going to have to sit all of them. Myles Gaskin, Zach Evans, the rookie, Darrell Henderson. Darrell Henderson he showed up last week without Myles Gaskin. Myles Gaskin was not playing yet, even though they picked him up last week for the Pittsburgh game. He's going to start playing this week against the Cowboys. But I wouldn't expect too much out of any of those running backs as they do split carries. But the best one out of the 3 is obviously going to be Myles Gaskin coming in there. It's going to be his first week, so you never really know, but I'm going to have to sit him just on the cautious side. And the Cowboys, we got Tony Pollard, Dowdle, and Deuce Vaughn. I'm going to have to sit Deuce Vaughn and Dowdle. This Dallas offense really does not need them. And Tony Pollard, they need. Tony Pollard, he's a top 5 running back. He gets the ball so much just in the Cowboys offense. So he's an easy start this week against a good Rams defense. Next up, the Vikings at the Packers. Oh boy, this is another tough one, I'm not going to lie. Alexander Mattison, he's going to be a start for me against the Packers. Packers have a bad defense against running backs when it comes to fantasy. So Alexander Mattison, he catches passes. I know he only had 1 this past Monday, but he's going to catch more passes against the Packers as he usually does. So look for Mattison to get you some points. And Akers is going to be a cautionary start for once. I've been putting him as a non-start. Maybe once or twice I put him as a cautionary, but I think this is a strong cautionary start for him this week. The Packers, again, allowing good points to running backs. Akers have been showing in the past 2 weeks that he actually can put up good amounts of points. I know they're in LA. He was the lead back. Obviously, he's going to get points there, so I kind of took that with a grain of salt. But as he comes to the Vikings and filling in for Alexander Mattison when he steps down a little bit. So Akers is a solid cautionary start at your flex. I would feel confident in putting him at your flex spot for sure. As far as the Packers go, Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon. A.J. Dillon's going to be a sit for me this week. The Vikings have a very good defense against running backs in fantasy, so A.J. Dillon's going to be a sit for me. And with Aaron Jones back, that only makes it harder for A.J. Dillon to get points. So Aaron Jones, he's going to be a start for me this week. He's going to be a cautionary start. And the reason I say that and not a start is just because of his injury. Coming off that, he looked a little bit rusty last week. He split more carries with A.J. Dillon, but I think that's going to change this upcoming week against the Vikings. Aaron Jones is going to be getting the ball more, so look for him to definitely get points. He's a solid flex position, maybe RB2, but the Vikings do have a good defense. That's the only reason Aaron Jones isn't a start. Next game we're going to be looking at is the Falcons at the Titans. Running backs Brian Robinson, Bijan Robinson, and Tyler Algier. I get Brian and Bijan mixed up all the time, I'm not going to lie. But Bijan Robinson is questionable this week. I don't know what happened to him last week. He was sick. Nobody really knows exactly what the issue was. He was just sick, had an illness, wasn't feeling good, whatever the case may be. So he should be good this week, definitely. He's going to be a cautionary start, though, against the Titans. The Titans have number 8, I believe, off the top of my head, number 8 defense against running backs. So they're very good, as well as the Falcons. They're very good against running backs. So I think Bijan Robinson's going to be a cautionary start, a good flex position for sure, as he's the lead back there in Atlanta. But I wouldn't expect too many points from him as he has had in the past. Now, Tyler Algier, again with him, he's going to be a sit. He's shown he's got potential. He really does. And he knows how to put up points, especially in that Atlanta offense. But he's going to be a sit for me this week against a good Titans defense. And Derrick Henry, cautionary start this week. I like to start Henry. I don't know if I haven't not put him as a start. But this week, Falcons have one of the best, if not the best, run defenses against running backs. So he's going to be a cautionary start. And Tyjae Spears, he's going to have to sit. That's pretty explanatory, as the Falcons have a great running defense, and Henry's going to be scraping up points himself, so it's not going to leave much for Tyjae Spears. Next up, Patriots at the Dolphins, and hell, this is going to be a good one. We got running backs Ramondre Stevenson and Ezekiel Elliott. Stevenson is going to have a good day. He went off last week, had a great week catching and passing, and he's going to continue it against the Dolphins. The Dolphins are giving up a lot of points in every single aspect, so Stevenson is definitely going to be racking up those points this week. You want to start him. And Ezekiel Elliott, put a star by his name. He's going to be a cautionary start for me, I guess, but he's damn near a start. I think against the Dolphins defense, Patriots are starting to use Elliott a little bit more in the right ways. Not to his fullest potential, obviously, but Elliott definitely can put up some good points against the Dolphins defense. And as far as the Dolphins running backs go, Raheem Mostert and Jeff Wilson. Wilson really was a disappointment last week. Really didn't do too much. I mean, the Dolphins really don't need him, I guess. They have so many weapons there. But Jeff Wilson's going to have to sit for me again this week. Mostert, on the other hand, is always going to be a start. I don't like to say always, but as of right now, he's going to be a start. So there's not too much explaining there either. Mostert gets a lot of carries, a lot of passes, which equal a lot of fantasy points. So look for Mostert there, easy start. Moving on to the next one, we got the Saints at the Colts. Alvin Kamara, super easy start. He's going to have an amazing day. I think I ranked him number 1 in our rankings this week. Alvin Kamara is going to get a lot of points. Definitely get him in there against the Colts. He's going to get 20-plus points, easy. And then Jamal Williams is actually back for the Saints as a backup off injury. I think Jamal Williams is going to be a cautionary start this week. He's coming off that injury, trust me, I know, which kind of limits him a little bit. But against the Colts defense who struggle, and they have defensive backs who are injured, which I know we're talking about running backs, but with their defensive backs and their injuries going on, I think it leads a little bit towards Jamal Williams catching some passes. So I would cautiously start him at a flex spot. Jamal Williams, if you want to take a chance and you believe in that guy, he's definitely a good flex position to start, but not a good RB1, RB2. As far as the Colts go, this was a tough one for me. We gotta start accepting reality. Jonathan Taylor, he's gonna be the lead back for the Colts. Zach Moss has played his role and played it well, but that time's coming where Jonathan Taylor's getting the ball again. He's gonna be leading that offense, catching all those running back passes, all those usage in the running game, and it's gonna go down for Zach Moss. I'm not gonna lie, he's a good running back. But Jonathan Taylor, they paid him for a reason. He's going to be a good start this week against a good Saints defense. And Moss, on the other hand, because the Saints are a good defense, is going to have to be a sit. Next up, the Texans at the Panthers. I think this could be a high-scoring game, honestly, with these defenses. So as far as the Texans go, I will start Dameon Pierce and Devin Singletary. First time I said it all year. Singletary, I haven't been very confident in, but he's kind of been stepping up lately. He's kind of outshining Pierce in a way. Not necessarily surprising, but Pierce does get him more of the workload. But I'm going to have to start them both. I think Pierce is going to have a good game. He gets a lot of those carries. He's going to be rushing the ball a lot, maybe get in the end zone. And Singletary will be doing the same thing, except he can catch passes as well. So they're both going to be starts. They both are going to get points this week. Don't be afraid to put them in your flex spot and maybe an RB2 spot. Not an RB1, still not there yet, but maybe RB2 or flex. Panthers, we got Miles Sanders, questionable, and Chuba Hubbard. They're both going to be cautionary starts for me. Miles Sanders is a good running back, but this offense has been struggling a little bit. Sanders, he was dealing, I'm not exactly sure what his injury was, but he is questionable. This is, again, Tuesday that we're recording this, so we'll see how it goes throughout the rest of the week. But I think he is supposed to play, so he's going to be a cautionary start for me, a good flex position start, but nothing more than that. And same thing with Chuba Hubbard. I think he's actually a little bit less likely. I think you need to watch it, though, as well, because if Miles Sanders isn't playing, Chuba Hubbard's a good cautionary start in your flex. But if Miles Sanders is playing, maybe you don't want to put Hubbard there in, but maybe not a bad pickup, or just keep on your bench, or maybe throw him in there if you have to. The 4 o'clock games. We're going to the Browns at Seahawks is the first one. Browns running backs, they got Jerome Ford hurt now. They got Kareem Hunt and Pierre Strong. They picked Pierre Strong up this year from the Patriots. Ford's going to be doubtful this week. He got some sort of injury, and he's going to be very doubtful. It's not looking good for him. He's probably going to be out a week or two, so we're going to have to obviously sit him. Kareem Hunt's going to be a start on the other hand. With Ford gone, this leads Hunt's offense. I mean, we've seen what Deshaun Watson has been doing. We've seen how their offense is being run. And Kareem Hunt's a big part of that, I'm not going to lie. Cleveland boy, he's going to be an easy start this week. I think he puts up an easy 15 points for you guys. And then Pierre Strong is going to be his backup. I think he's going to have to be a sit. I don't see Pierre Strong doing much more than getting maybe 5 carries for 20 yards or something along those lines. He's going to just get a few carries here and there, and that's about it. So you're going to have to sit Pierre Strong. And as far as the Seahawks go, easy start for Kenneth Walker. The Browns have a good defense. They've been struggling the past 2 weeks, but I do think Kenneth Walker definitely puts up easy points. Charbonnet, he's questionable this week. He hasn't been doing good at all this season, so he's an easy sit. Not much more to go over there. Next up, we got the Bengals at 49ers. Running backs, Joe Mixon, Travion Williams, Christian McCaffrey, and Elijah Mitchell. For the Bengals, it's kind of tough for me, I'm not going to lie. I think that Mixon this week he's going to have to be a cautionary start. 49ers have a good defense. Mixon really hasn't done much this year at all. And over the years, he's shown he's a great running back, can catch a lot of passes. But this Bengals offense is not working out very well this year. So Mixon's going to be a cautionary start, maybe a good flex position, definitely a good flex position. But RB1, RB2, you can put him there, but I'd be cautious with that for sure this week against the 49ers. And Travion Williams behind him, don't worry about him. You shouldn't even have him in your fantasy. 49ers, McCaffrey and Mitchell. I think McCaffrey's obviously an easy start. Not much more to go over that. You always start McCaffrey. And Elijah Mitchell, he's going to have to be a cautionary start for me this week. Bengals defense isn't too impressive, so I do think Elijah Mitchell has a chance to get some catches out of the backfield, a little bit of PPR action. So maybe consider him for your flex spot, but nothing more than that. The next 4 o'clock game we're looking at is the Chiefs at Broncos, and I think the Chiefs are going to dominate that one. We're looking at running backs Isaiah Pacheco and Jerick McKinnon for the Chiefs. Pacheco's obviously an easy start. He's really shown, he's a rookie last year. He's shown that I think he has the potential to be a top 10 running back easily. I don't think it would be much of a question. So he's going to be an easy start against a terrible Broncos defense. They're either top 30, they're either number 30, 31, 32, something like that against running backs this year. So easy start for Pacheco. McKinnon, he's going to be a cautionary start. He hasn't done shit all year, really. He's been putting up 5 points damn near every week. I think this week, though, against the Broncos, he has some upside. He can catch the ball out of the backfield and stuff. I think this could be his week where he puts up a decent amount of points. So maybe put him there at your flex, but I wouldn't trust him any more than that. And as far as the Broncos go, Javonte Williams, Perine, and McLaughlin. Perine and McLaughlin, don't worry about them this week. Chiefs have a very good defense against running backs in fantasy, so you're not going to want to play either of those guys. But Javonte Williams, you might want to play. Usually you do play him. Chiefs kind of makes you second guess it a little bit maybe, but he's a good flex position no matter what. He's a solid flex position. They lean on him heavy. He's now back. I think he's definitely a good flex position. Maybe RB2. Would not be too scared to put him there. The next 4 o'clock game and the last 4 o'clock game we're going to be going over is the Ravens at Cardinals. And the Ravens should dominate this game, but running backs Gus Edwards and Justice Hill. Gus Edwards, easy start this week. He gets a load of the carries for the Ravens. He gets a lot of their yardage. So look for him to get in the end zone, get some yards, do his thing. And he can catch passes out of the backfield, but that's more of Justice Hill's kind of style. And Justice Hill is going to be a cautious start. And that's just because of the offense that the Ravens use. Justice Hill actually is a very good running back, can catch the ball, is very elusive. So he has a good upside, especially against a struggling Cardinals defense. So he's going to be a cautionary start, but at the same time, Gus Edwards does get a majority of the carry. So and Lamar Jackson likes to find Mark Andrews, Zay Flowers, or just run the ball on himself when he's close to the end zone. So I'm going to have to put Justice Hill as a cautionary start. Maybe as a flex position, but nothing more than that. Cardinals, Amari Demercado and Damian Williams. Amari Demercado, easy start this week. With James Conner out, Demercado's really shown that he's the lead back there. He can catch passes. He can run the ball very well. He's going to be a start for me this week. I think he has a good one against the Ravens, who have a very mid defense. Damian Williams, on the other hand, is going to have to be a sit for the Cardinals. He was playing behind Amari, and I think he's had like 2 carries the past 2 weeks, so nothing there to look at. Our 8 o'clock game on Sunday is going to be Chicago at LA Chargers. We're still a little bit concerned with the Bears running backs. Khalil Herbert is still on IR. Rashawn Johnson is now back, but he's still questionable. He was dealing with a concussion, and Donta Foreman filled in for him, played a very good role. So we'll see what happens this week. Again, this is Tuesday, so just keep that in mind. We'll see what Rashawn's injury looks like in the next few days. But they're both going to be cautionary starts for me. Donta Foreman has shown that he can run the ball. I mean, he's shown it every single time I think he's played, when he played in Carolina and now in Chicago. So I think Donta Foreman's a good running back. And same thing, Rashawn Johnson. The Bears like Rashawn Johnson. It's going to be a cautionary start for both them against a struggling defense for the Chargers. And that's the only reason they're both cautionary starts. So pick your poison. Put one of them in flex position if you want to. But don't do anything more than that. The Chargers running backs, Eckler and Kelly. Eckler is going to be an easy start this week against a struggling Bears defense. I know Eckler's only had about 7-8 points on average the past 2 weeks. So with that being said, I think he's due for a very good game. He's one of the best running backs in the league. They pass him, run him the ball. So Eckler is going to be an easy start, I think, this week. Now, as far as Joshua Kelly goes, I think he's going to be a good cautionary start. You might want to put him in there at your flex for sure, depending what your team's looking like, obviously. But Kelly, he's one of those guys who's getting points, even though he's the second running back. So I think against the Bears defense, again, Chargers are going to have a good day there. And look for Kelly to be a solid flex position. And last but not least, we're going over our Monday night game, Raiders at Lions. Another kind of mix-up with the running backs, at least for the Lions. As far as the Raiders go, they got Josh Jacobs, Zamir White. Not too much to cover over there. Zamir White really hasn't been getting as many touches as kind of you would hope, being a rookie, a good rookie at that. But they got Josh Jacobs in there, so they don't need Zamir White very much. He's not getting many carries at all. He's going to have to sit this week against a good Lions defense. And Josh Jacobs is going to be a start, even though the Lions have a very good defense. Excuse me. I do think Jacobs has a good day. Nothing too crazy. He's not like a plus start, but he's going to be a good start. As far as the Lions go, David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs, Craig Reynolds. It's looking like David Montgomery is going to be back this week. We're not too sure yet. Again, this is Tuesday. Just keep that in mind and look for Montgomery's injury updates throughout the week. But I think he's going to be a solid start this week against the Raiders. He's going to be coming back, firing on all cylinders, and putting up those David Montgomery points. And same thing with Jahmyr Gibbs. We saw what Jahmyr Gibbs can do last week without Montgomery. And I think with Montgomery, obviously it takes a little bit away from Gibbs. But Montgomery's the runner, Gibbs is the pass catcher. So you definitely want to start both of them. And Craig Reynolds is going to have to sit as it's looking like David Montgomery's back. Craig Reynolds might have 2 carries for about 5 yards. But that's about it. And speaking of that's about it for today, Week 8, running back start sits. And this is Jonathan here. I hope you guys like what I had to say. Go like our post. Go share, comment, follow, subscribe, all that good stuff. And have a great weekend. See you later.